The night on planet Varel 3 was silent, too silent for a world that once held thousands of alien families. Cold winds moved across the empty streets, carrying dust, broken leaves, and a strange smell that made even brave travelers uneasy. Old houses stood like shadows, their doors open, their windows cracked, as if everyone had left in a hurry. A human explorer named Mark Dalton walked carefully, holding a small light in his hand. He had come to this area to search for old technology, but he found only ruins. His footsteps echoed against the dead walls. Even the insects did not make a sound here. Mark checked the time on his wrist device. "Almost night cycle," he whispered. "I need to return to camp soon." He turned toward the path that led back to his small shelter, but suddenly, a sound. A small, weak sound. A sound that did not belong in this dead place. It was a cry. A child's cry. Mark stopped moving. His heart beat faster. He held up his light and looked around. The street was empty, but the cry came again, soft, shaking. Afraid. He slowly walked forward, shining the light across broken stones and fallen signs. Then he saw her. A small alien girl stood at the end of the street. She was no more than 7 years old. Her skin was a pale blue color, and her hair glowed faintly like soft white fire. Her big eyes were wet with tears. She wore a thin cloth around her shoulders, and she was shivering in the cold. When the light touched her face, she flinched and covered her eyes. Then she stepped forward and whispered, "Please. Please help me." Mark felt shock. What was a child doing alone in a place like this? He lowered the light slightly so it wouldn't blind her. "Hey," he said gently, "I'm not here to hurt you. Are you lost?" The girl shook her head quickly. "No, I came to find help. Please follow me home, my mom. My mom is about to give birth to my little brother. She is in pain. She cannot move. And I cannot do anything alone." Her voice broke as she spoke. Mark took a slow breath. He had not expected this. He came to search ruins, not rescue civilians. But he could not ignore a child standing alone, in danger. "What is your name?" he asked. "Rena," she said softly. "Please, human, come with me. My mom will die if no one helps." Mark stepped closer, but just then, a low growl echoed through the empty streets. A long, deep, angry growl. Rena froze. Her eyes widened, and she grabbed Mark's arm with both hands. "It's here," she whispered. "It's close." Mark looked around quickly. The shadows between the buildings seemed to move. Something big was out there. Something watching them. "Rena," he said quietly, "what is here?" She swallowed hard. "A beast," she whispered. "A night beast. It hunts anyone who stays in this place after dark. It came to our home last night. I think it will come again." Mark felt cold sweat on his neck. He looked at the empty houses, the broken doors, the dark windows. Now he understood why the whole village was silent. Everyone had run away. Everyone except this child and her mother. The cry must have taken all her courage. She must have walked alone through dangerous streets, just to find help. Another growl closer this time. Mark's light flickered, and the wind seemed to go still. He knew they could not stay here. "Where is your home?" he asked. Rena pulled his sleeve urgently. "This way. Please hurry. My mom is in pain. She is scared. I left her alone. We must go now." Before Mark could answer, the wind carried another sound, scratching on stone. Long claws dragging across a wall. Rena gasped. Mark felt his heart jump. There was no more time to think. No more time to plan. Only time to move. "Stay close to me," Mark said. He grabbed his pack, tightened the strap, and followed the little alien girl as she ran into the darkness. Her small feet slapped lightly against the ground. Her glowing hair floated behind her like a trail of weak light. The night seemed to close around them. The street grew narrower. The shadows grew deeper. The growls followed them, moving from roof to roof, as if the beast was hunting from above. Mark glanced at Rena. Her face was filled with fear. But she kept running. He knew one thing with certainty. Something terrible was waiting at her home. Something that could kill a full-grown adult. Something that was now following them. But he could not leave her alone. He could not let her mother die. The human and the small alien girl disappeared into the dark tunnels of the ruined village, with the beast stalking close behind. Mark followed Rena through the narrow street as the distant growls faded in and out behind them. The small alien girl did not stop even once to look back. She ran with the fear of someone who had already seen death too closely. Mark kept his light low so its shine would not attract attention, but still bright enough to see where he stepped. The houses around them seemed even more broken here. Roofs had collapsed, plants had grown through cracks, and strange claw marks ran along the walls like long scars. Many doors were ripped off their hinges. Something powerful had passed through this area many times. Rena suddenly stopped beside a fallen pillar and pointed to a thin gap between two big stones. "We go down here," she whispered. Mark looked at the hole. It was barely wide enough for him to fit. "This is the way to your home?" he asked. Rena nodded quickly. "It is a secret path. My mom made it for people to escape, but no one escaped." Her voice dropped. "The beast came before they could leave." Mark crouched low and slid through the gap. The stones scraped his shoulders and cold air rushed from below. When he landed, he found himself in a small underground tunnel lit by glowing plants stuck to the walls. The blue light made everything look quiet, but also strange. Like the tunnel was alive. Rena jumped down after him. "We must go fast," she said. Mark followed her deeper into the tunnel. The ground was uneven, and strange roots grew everywhere. Some roots lit up when stepped on, releasing soft sparks. Rena walked with familiarity, like she had been using this path since she learned how to walk. "Has this tunnel always been here?" Mark asked. Rena shook her head. "No, my mom made it 2 seasons ago. She said we needed a safe way if danger came." She was right. The danger came too soon. Mark listened carefully. He could hear her steps, his own steps, and the soft drip of water from the ceiling. But then another sound. A faint thump. A soft scrape. Something moving behind them. Rena heard it too. She tightened her hold on her small cloth bag. "It followed us," she whispered. "The beast is smart. It knows the tunnels." Mark turned off his light to avoid giving their position away. "Stay close," he whispered. They continued, now only guided by the glow of the plants. The tunnel grew tighter, forcing Mark to walk slightly bent. Rena moved quickly, crawling through an arch made of stone. As Mark followed, his hand brushed something rough, another claw mark. Fresh, they were not alone in this tunnel. After some minutes, the narrow path opened into a wider cave. Soft blue fog floated in the air, and strange crystals grew on the walls like frozen flowers. A small underground river ran through the cave, glowing faintly. "This is beautiful," Mark whispered. Rena stopped, but she didn't admire the view. Her face remained tense. "We must cross the water," she said. "My home is on the other side." Mark stepped into the shallow river. It was cold, but not freezing. The water lit up around his boots, making tiny waves of light. Rena crossed quickly, hopping from one rock to another. Mark did the same, but as he reached the middle, he heard it again. A low growl. This time from inside the cave. He turned fast. 2 glowing eyes stared at him from the tunnel they came from. "Rena, get behind me," Mark whispered sharply. The beast stepped into the faint light. It was huge, dark, and shaped like a mix of wolf and shadow. Its long claws dug into the stone floor. Its breath came out like smoke. It growled again, louder this time, making the cave shake. Rena ran behind the big crystal. "Mark, hurry!" she cried. Mark needed time. Even a few seconds. He grabbed a glowing plant from the wall and crushed it in his hand. The plant released a blinding flash of blue light. The beast roared and stepped back, scratching its face with anger and confusion. Rena ran to Mark and pulled his hand. "This way. Come, please." Mark followed her to a small hole at the cave's end. They crawled through it as fast as they could. Behind them, the beast slammed into the rocks, shaking the whole tunnel. Small stones hit Mark's back as he crawled. Finally, they fell out of the hole into another passage. Rena grabbed his arm and pointed ahead. "We are close," she whispered breathlessly. "My home is right there. My mom is waiting. She needs help now." Mark stood up, wiping dirt off his hands. The danger behind them was not gone, only delayed. But one thing was clear. Whatever waited ahead might be even worse. Yet he had made his choice. He would save Rena's mother, no matter what. "Lead the way, Rena," he said. The girl nodded, and they ran toward the final part of the tunnel. The tunnel finally opened into a small underground chamber. Mark stepped inside slowly, breathing hard from the long escape. Rena hurried past him, her tiny feet tapping across the stone floor. She ran toward a corner where a soft orange glow flickered like a weak heartbeat. "Mom! Mom, I am back!" Rena cried, her voice shaking. Mark followed her and saw an alien woman lying on a makeshift bed made of stone and dried plant fibers. Her body was curled, her skin pale, and covered with a cold sweat. Her breathing was fast, painful, and uneven. She was trying to stay awake, but each breath looked like a heavy battle. When she opened her eyes, they glowed a soft, dim yellow. She struggled to lift her head as she saw Mark. "You brought a human," she whispered. Her voice was weak, almost fading. Rena sat beside her mother and held her hand tightly. "I had to, Mom. No one else would help. Everybody ran away. He is kind. He saved me. He came through the tunnels with me." Mark knelt beside the mother. "My name is Mark Dalton. I'm here to help if I can." The mother blinked slowly. Her eyes were filled with pain, but also relief. "I am Lyra, Rena's mother." She winced suddenly, clutching her stomach. Her whole body trembled. Mark could see now how serious her condition was. She was in heavy labor, and her body was exhausted. She had no strength left. A human doctor would say she needed urgent care. "Rena," Mark said softly, "how long has your mom been like this?" Rena wiped tears from her eyes. "Since last night." She tried to stay strong because she didn't want me to be afraid. But her pain kept getting worse. I told her I would find help before the beast came back. The room fell silent for a moment until a distant thump echoed through the queue. Tunnels behind them, Lyra's eyes widened slightly. "It is close, isn't it?" she whispered. Mark nodded. "Yes, it followed us." Rena grabbed her mother's hand tighter. "Mom, I'm sorry. I left you alone. I didn't know if I could come back." Lyra gently touched her daughter's face. "My brave girl. You did what you had to do. You saved both me and your brother." Mark stood and quickly studied the room. There were no real weapons, only stones, dry branches, and glowing plants. The entrance was small, which meant the beast might not fit easily, but if it forced its way in, they would have little chance. He needed to protect them and help Lyra deliver the baby. "Lyra," Mark said carefully, "is there anything your people use for pain? Herbs? Medicine? Something that can help you or make this easier?" Lyra shook her head weakly. "Everything was lost when the beast attacked our upper home. It destroyed our supplies, our food, our tools. I crawled down here with Rena before it came back." Her voice broke. "I didn't think I would survive long enough for Rena to return." Mark felt a sharp pain in his chest. This woman had fought for her daughter with nothing but willpower. Lyra took a slow breath. "Mark, you must listen. This beast is not like a normal creature. It hunts anything alive in this area. It marks territory with great anger. If you stay, I'm not leaving," Mark said firmly, surprising even himself. "You need help. Your daughter needs you. And your baby is coming now." Lyra stared at him for a long moment, tears forming in her eyes. "Humans, we were told you only think of yourselves." Mark shook his head. "Maybe some do, but not all." Another contraction hit her. She gripped the bed and cried out. Rena panicked. "Mark, what do we do?" The girl begged. Mark knelt beside Lyra again. "Rena, bring me water if you have any stored. Even a little." Rena ran to the back of the chamber and returned with a small shell filled with glowing liquid. Lyra took a sip. Trembling. Mark looked around again. He spotted a pile of warm glowstones. They gave off gentle heat. He placed them closer to Lyra to keep her warm. Then he felt something. A vibration in the ground. Small at first. Then stronger. Heavy footsteps echoed from the tunnel. The beast was coming. Rena looked toward the entrance, terror in her eyes. "It found us." Mark stood quickly, grabbing the only object he could use as a weapon, a thick crystal shard. "Rena," he said firmly, "stay with your mother. Do not move from her side." Lyra reached out weakly. "Mark, you cannot fight it alone. It will kill you." Mark's grip tightened on the crystal. "Not if I stop it from reaching you." The footsteps grew louder, shaking dust from the ceiling. The beast was at the entrance of the chamber. Its glowing eyes appeared in the darkness. Lyra cried out again as another contraction hit her. Mark stepped in front of the entrance. "If it wants them," he said quietly, "it has to go through me first." The chamber fell into a heavy silence. The kind of silence that sits on the skin like ice. Only Lyra's painful breaths and the soft drip of water echoed around them. Rena held her mother's hand tightly, her small fingers shaking. Mark stood at the entrance of the chamber, gripping the crystal shard with both hands. He knew this was not a real weapon, but it was all he had. And he had no plan except not letting the beast pass. Then the sound came, a slow, deep inhale. As if something enormous was smelling the air. A pair of glowing green eyes appeared in the tunnel. Darkness. Rena gasped and covered her mouth. Lyra whispered weakly, "No. No, it found us again." The beast stepped forward, its body scraping against the stone. It was larger than Mark expected. Much larger. Its shoulders brushed against both sides of the tunnel, and its long claws clicked against the floor. Its fur looked like moving shadows, shifting and bending as if darkness itself was alive. When the creature growled, dust fell from the ceiling like snow. Mark raised the crystal shard. "Stay back," he warned. The beast tilted its head. It studied him not like an animal, but something smarter. Something that recognized a threat. Its nostrils flared, smelling human scent mixed with fear and sweat. Behind Mark, Lyra cried out again in pain. The beast reacted instantly. It took a step forward, lowering its head as if ready to strike. Mark stepped forward too. "I said stay back," he repeated, louder this time. The beast snarled. Its teeth were long and sharp like broken glass. The sound made Rena scream and hide behind her mother's bed. Suddenly, the beast lunged. Fast. Faster than Mark expected. Mark barely moved in time. He swung the crystal shard, hitting the creature across its snout. The shard cracked, but the beast snarled in surprise and stepped back a little. It did not retreat. It was only testing him. Mark's pulse hammered in his ears. He tightened his grip on the broken shard. The beast growled again, louder and more angry this time. Its claws dug into the ground, leaving deep marks. It wanted the chamber. It wanted Lyra. It wanted the newborn child that would soon arrive. Mark! Rena cried. Please don't let it come in. I won't, Mark said. Even though fear was stabbing through him like cold knives, the beast took another step forward. Mark grabbed the glowing stone from the ground and threw it at the creature's head. The stone exploded in a flash of blue light. The beast roared, staggering for a moment. It shook its head wildly, scraping its claws against the wall. Rena used the moment to push another cluster of glowing plants toward Mark. Use these. They hurt its eyes. Mark grabbed the plants, crushed them in his fist, and flung the glowing dust at the beast. The dust burst into a bright cloud. The beast roared again, its eyes burning with sudden pain. But the creature was not giving up. It smashed its body against the entrance, cracking the stone. A large piece of the wall fell, making the opening wider. Lyra cried out as the vibrations hit her body. Mark! She shouted weakly, stop it. Please, my baby. My baby is coming. I cannot hold on. Mark knew the beast would break through in seconds. He needed something stronger than a glowing plant. Something that hurt. Something that pushed the creature back long enough for Lyra to give birth. He looked around quickly. On the ground near the far corner, he spotted what looked like a small cluster of heat crystals. These crystals were volatile. When struck, they burst into intense flames and heat for a few seconds. Those. Mark pointed. Rena, push them here. Rena hurried, sliding the tiny crystals toward him. Mark grabbed the biggest one and held it tightly. The beast smashed the wall a second time. The crack widened. A long claw forced through the stone. Mark didn't wait. He slammed the heat crystal against the ground. A burst of red flame shot out, lighting the whole chamber in a violent flash. The flame hit the beast's face. The creature screamed a deep, horrible sound that echoed through the tunnels. Its head jerked back, its claws retracting. Steam rose from its burned fur. Mark stood over the burning crystal, breathing hard. Stay back, he warned again, his voice shaking. The beast glared at him. Its eyes burned with hate. It growled one last time, then stepped backwards into the tunnel. Its heavy footsteps faded slowly, but Mark knew it wasn't gone. It was waiting, watching, ready to strike again. Behind him, Lyra screamed in pain, louder, sharper than before. Rena sobbed and held her mother's hand. Mark! Lyra gasped, it is time. The baby is coming. Mark turned from the tunnel. The beast would return. But first, a life needed to be brought into the world. And he was the only one who could keep them alive long enough. The chamber shook with Lyra's cries. Her body twisted in pain, sweat rolling down her forehead, her breaths sharp and broken. Rena knelt beside her mother, wiping her face with shaking hands. Mom, please. Hold on, she whispered. Mark turned from the tunnel and faced them. Rena, stay with her. I'll keep watching the entrance. But even as he spoke, his heart pounded. He could still feel the beast's presence in the tunnel. It hadn't gone far. It was just waiting for the right moment to strike again. Lyra cried out suddenly, grabbing the sides of the stone bed. It hurts. It hurts too much. Mark rushed to her side for a moment. Lyra, listen to me. You're strong. Your baby is coming. You need to breathe slowly. Lyra tried, but another wave of pain crushed her body. She screamed, her voice echoing through the chamber. And that scream, it traveled through the tunnel like a signal for the beast. Mark's blood ran cold. He turned sharply toward the entrance. A low growl answered the scream. Rena gasped. Mark, it hurt her. Mark picked up the crystal shard he used earlier. It was cracked, weak, but still sharp enough to cut. He positioned himself between the family and the tunnel again. The beast appeared only seconds later. Its glowing eyes were even brighter now, full of anger. Its burned fur still smoked from the heat crystal flame Mark had used earlier. The creature's breath came out in heavy huffs, Dripping with saliva. It wanted revenge. And it wanted Lyra. Mark raised the shard. "Come on then," he muttered. "You want them? You're not getting past me." The beast roared and slammed its body against the wall, widening the entrance again. Rocks tumbled to the floor. Rena screamed and covered her ears. Lyra's voice broke as another contraction hit her. "Mark, I can't. I can't do this. The baby is coming now." "I know," Mark shouted without taking his eyes off the beast. "Just hold on a little longer." But even he knew she didn't have a little longer left. The beast lunged. Mark dodged to the side, barely avoiding the long claws. The creature's swipe sent a cluster of glowing stones flying across the room. Mark slashed at its arm with the crystal shard. The shard hit the creature's skin, but only left a shallow cut. The beast roared in anger, knocking Mark backward with a violent swing of its head. Mark hit the wall hard, pain shooting through his back. "Mark!" Rena cried, "I'm fine." He coughed, standing again even though his ribs burned. The beast advanced, its claws scraping the ground. Mark grabbed a long piece of stone that had fallen from the cracked ceiling. It was heavier than the crystal shard but stronger. He held it like a spear. The beast charged again. Mark met it head on. He thrust the stone forward, hitting the creature's shoulder. The beast roared and slammed its paw into Mark's chest. The impact threw him across the room. He crashed into the corner, dust exploding around him. His ears rang. His vision blurred. His entire body throbbed. He forced himself to stand again. He wasn't fighting for himself. He was fighting for Rena, for Lyra, for the newborn who would die before taking its first breath if he failed. The beast started moving toward Lyra. "No!" Rena screamed. "Don't go near my mom." Mark's eyes widened. If the beast reached the bed, everything would be over. He grabbed the broken heat crystal fragments on the ground. There were only 2 small pieces left, dangerous, unstable, and hot. Perfect. The beast moved past Mark. Mark ran. He sprinted forward, jumped, and tackled the beast's hind leg, making it stumble. With his other hand, he slammed the remaining heat crystal piece right under the beast's belly. A blinding flash exploded. A blast of red flame shot upward. The creature screeched in agony and thrashed wildly. The fire burned its underside, its most vulnerable spot. It tried to back away, but its movements were clumsy and pained. Mark rolled across the ground. Coughing, his arm burned but still working, the beast staggered. Its legs shook. Its breath grew ragged, but it wasn't dead yet. Just wounded. And now furious. It glared at Mark with murder in its eyes. Mark forced himself to stand. "Come on," he whispered through gritted teeth. "Come on, just a little more." Behind him, Lyra let out a long, desperate cry. "Mark, the baby is coming now." Rena held her mother's hand tightly, tears falling down her cheeks. "Mom, please. Stay with me." Mark's heart raced. He couldn't fight and help deliver a child at the same time. But he had to. He had no choice. The beast roared and lowered its head for one final charge. Mark lifted the last piece of sharp crystal. He had one chance. One moment. One strike. He breathed in deeply. For the mother. For the child. For Rena. And then he ran straight toward the charging beast. The beast charged, its claws tearing into the stone floor, its roar shaking the chamber. Mark ran toward it with the last piece of sharp crystal in his hand. Every step felt heavy, every breath felt like fire in his chest. But he did not slow down. Behind him, Lyra screamed again, her voice breaking in pain as the baby pushed downward. Rena cried beside her, begging her mother to stay awake. The chamber was filled with chaos, the roars of the beast, the screams of a mother in labor, and Mark's pounding heartbeat. As the beast leapt, Mark dove to the side at the last second. The monster's claws missed him by inches, striking the ground with a thunderous crash. Mark rolled, gasping for breath, and used the moment to stab the crystal shard deep into the creature's ankle. The beast roared in agony. It turned and slammed its massive tail into Mark, throwing him against the wall again. He hit the stone hard, falling to the floor as dust filled the air. Everything hurt. His ribs, his shoulders, his hands, but he pushed himself up, coughing. He could not stop. He would not stop. Across the chamber, Lyra cried out again, a long, sharp, heartbreaking cry. Her body shook violently. "Mark!" Rena screamed. "The baby is coming. Please hurry. Mom can't breathe right." Mark's heart twisted painfully. He wanted to go to them, to help, to comfort, but the beast was still between them. The creature limped toward the stone bed, blood dripping from its wounded ankle and burned belly. It moved slower now, but its rage burned hotter. It bared its sharp teeth, eyes locked on Lyra. "No," Mark whispered. "Not her." He scanned the room desperately. There had to be something, anything he could use. Then he saw it. In the corner, near the fallen ceiling stones, was a cluster of heat crystals he hadn't noticed. Larger ones. Dangerous ones. The kind that could explode with force. Mark grabbed a long broken root from the cave floor, thick and strong like a stick. He crouched low and moved silently behind the beast. The creature, blinded by pain and fury, didn't notice him. He pushed 3 large heat crystals together with the root and rolled them under the beast's body. Then he ran. The crystals began to crack, 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 crack. A violent explosion of red and white flame erupted. The beast screamed, a horrible, echoing scream that shook the entire chamber. Fire burst across its belly and legs. It tried to escape, clawing at the ground, but its burned muscles failed it. Mark ducked, shielding his face from the blast. Heat washed over him like a wave. His arms stung. His lungs burned. When the fire faded, the beast collapsed onto its side, shaking, growling weakly, unable to stand. Its breath came out heavy and broken. Its glowing eyes dimmed. It wasn't dead, but it was beaten. Finally beaten. Mark stood slowly, holding the wall for support. His legs trembled. He turned toward Lyra. She was lying back, breathing fast, her body shaking. Rena cried beside her, wiping sweat from her mother's forehead. "Mark, she can't push anymore." Rena sobbed. "She's too tired." Mark staggered over to them. His body screamed in pain, but he ignored it. He knelt beside Lyra. Her eyes were half closed. Her breaths came in shallow gasps. "Lyra," Mark said softly, "listen to me. Your baby is almost here. You are strong. You can do this." Lyra looked at him weakly, tears in her eyes. I can't. I'm too tired." "Yes, you can," Mark said, his voice firm but warm. "Your daughter needs you. Your son needs you. I'm here. I won't let anything hurt you." Lyra closed her eyes, tears falling. "Help me, please." Mark checked the baby's position. The child was close, very close. He needed to guide the baby gently. "Rena," Mark said calmly, "hold your mother's hand. Talk to her. Tell her she can do this." Rena nodded, placing both her small hands on her mother's. "Mom, I'm right here. Please don't leave me, please. You have to meet my brother." Lyra took a deep breath. Her face softened. She squeezed her daughter's hand. Mark guided her through one more push, then another, then one last powerful push. A small cry filled the chamber. A tiny alien baby, glowing faintly with soft blue light, entered the world. Rena covered her mouth as tears streamed down her cheeks. "My brother. He's here." Mark gently wrapped the baby in the soft plant fiber cloth. He placed the newborn on Lyra's chest, but Lyra did not move. Her eyes were closed. Her breaths were weak. "Too weak, Lyra," Mark whispered. "Lyra, stay with us. Rena shook her mother gently. "Mom? Mom, wake up!" The beast groaned in the background. Still alive but defeated. Mark placed his hand on Lyra's forehead. Her skin was cold. Too cold. "Lyra," he whispered again, panic rising in his chest. This was not over. The battle was won. The baby was born, but Lyra's life was slipping away. For a long moment, the chamber stayed silent except for the soft crying of the newborn. The baby's tiny breaths were warm against Lyra's cold skin. Rena trembled as she held her mother's hand. "Mom, please open your eyes," she whispered, her voice breaking. Mark knelt beside Lyra, placing 2 fingers gently on her neck. Her pulse was there, very weak, but still there. She was fading fast. He looked at Rena. "We're not giving up," he said softly. "Not on his watch." Mark tore a strip of his undershirt, soaked it in the glowing water stored in the shell, and placed it on Lyra's forehead. He lifted her head carefully and helped her drink a few drops of water. "Come on, Lyra, stay with us," he murmured. Her eyelids fluttered. A faint breath escaped her lips. Rena sobbed with relief and hugged her mother's arm. "Mom, please don't leave me." "Please," Lyra's voice came out as a whisper, thready and soft. "Rena, my brave girl." The newborn cried louder, and the sound seemed to pull Lyra back from the edge. Slowly, she lifted her trembling hand and touched the baby's head. He is beautiful," she whispered. Mark felt a tightness in his chest. Lyra was fighting. She wasn't gone yet, but they had to leave this place soon. If they stayed, Lyra wouldn't survive. And the beast still alive despite its wounds growled weakly from the corner. Mark stood up and approached the creature cautiously. The beast lay on its side, chest rising slowly. Its eyes flickered open, dim and full of pain. It no longer looked like the monster that wanted to kill them. It looked like a dying animal. When Mark stepped closer, the beast tensed, expecting another attack, but Mark didn't raise a weapon. "You lost," he said quietly. "Go, leave them alone. Your fight ends here." The beast blinked slowly. Its rage had faded. Its strength was gone. It tried to stand but collapsed again. Finally, with a low, defeated rumble, it dragged its broken body toward the tunnel. One painful step at a time, it disappeared into the darkness. The danger was gone, but time was running out. Mark hurried back to the family. "Rena, we have to move your mother. She needs warmth, food, and medicine. My camp is not far. We can make it." Rena wiped her tears and nodded. "I will help." Mark picked up Lyra gently. Even with his strength, it felt heavy, because he knew she was fragile now, as fragile as the newborn in her arms. Rena held the baby close to her chest as they moved through the tunnels. The child's faint blue glow lit the path. Every few minutes, Mark checked Lyra's breathing. It was slow, but still there. The cold tunnel soon warmed with soft light as they reached the exit. When the first breeze of outside air hit their faces, Lyra opened her eyes a little. "Sky," she whispered. "I want to see the sky." Mark stepped outside, where the early dawn of Virel 3 painted the world in purple light. The sky was quiet, peaceful. For a moment, it felt like the planet was giving them a blessing. Rena stood beside her mother, holding the baby. Mark placed Lyra gently on a smooth rock. She smiled weakly, looking at her newborn son. I didn't think I would meet him," she whispered. Mark knelt beside her. "You fought harder than anyone I've ever seen." Lyra reached out and touched his hand. "You saved my children. You saved me. No human, no one, has ever done something like this." Rena looked at Mark with big teary eyes. "Mark, will everything be okay now?" Mark smiled gently and brushed her hair back. "Yes, Rena, everything will be okay. I promise." He activated the emergency beacon on his wrist communicator. A bright signal shot into the sky, calling for help from his team. As they waited, Rena sat beside her mother, leaning against her warm arm. The baby slept quietly in her lap. Lyra rested her head back, breathing slowly, peacefully. Then they heard it, the distant hum of engines. A human rescue ship descended from the sky, hovering above them like a guardian. Its lights washed over the ruined village, bringing hope to a place that had been filled with fear. Rescue medics ran to them, gently lifting Lyra and the newborn. Rena stayed close, holding Mark's hand tightly. One of the medics looked at Mark and said, "You did everything right. You saved them." Mark looked at Rena and the baby, alive, safe, breathing. "I just answered a little girl's cry," he said softly. As the ship rose into the air, carrying the alien family to safety, the story would soon spread across many worlds. Single human protected a mother in labor. A single human fought a monster alone. A single human saved a family when no one else would. And many alien clans would say the same words. Humans are not what we thought. They are more.